So, episode 4 was Magicians Anonymous. I don't think I have a lot to say about this one. It was fine. It felt like, well, it was plot driven. We spent the first 3 episodes of the season really checking in on the emotional states of characters. And this was like at least attempting to get some things going forward.
Yeah, definitely.
And in this case, sometimes lurching forward.
Yes, lurching is an excellent, descriptor. I did. This is not my favorite episode of the show so far. And while that is always disappointing, I am extremely glad that it was the 4th episode of the season and not the first episode back. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay now that, like you said, we've dealt with the emotional stuff. It's okay now to have an episode that's plot driven and not quite as interesting.
Well, it's the Quentin thing. It's not that I think that this show needs a specific lead, but the role that he served with, he was the uniting factor between everybody.
Sure.
And so I don't necessarily, because we've talked a lot about how now Stella is first billed, and I think she's more than capable of filling that role, but they're still sort of keeping her in a very singular place. And it's like,
yeah, and I was thinking about it. I think something that's interesting about it is they are working towards it, but it was like we had 4 seasons of characters interacting with each other and building relationships, like you said, sort of through Quentin, and now that he's gone, we haven't had enough time where, like, there was a nice moment with Alice and Julia in last night's episode, but there aren't enough moments like that with everybody. Like, Katie has no connection.
And we give Katie a hard time. We don't give her a hard time, but that she's neither of our favorite character. And I did want to say that I was actually scrolling through and there are people that love her. So congratulations there.
I might have a little bit joined that camp after last night's episode.
Okay, are you back to liking her? Okay.
I was like, watching her high on magical acid was kind of hysterical.
The single most interesting thing about her is the fact that when she thought she fell off the wagon, she was relieved. And it's like, it's not that I want her to fail. I don't. And it's not that I think that her substance abuse problems are good or make her interesting, but it just like she has this like gruff chip on her shoulder quality. And it's just it's very unappealing to me when she's like she's very martyred through much of the show. And this adventure with Dean Fogg, because he's another one. It's like he seemed more functional with his abuse than she was.
True. Yeah. Well, he was a lot more functional, and he doesn't have the guilt about his alcoholism that she has about her drug use.
And also, I mean, alcoholism is a slightly more palatable thing than heroin. But I
was going to say, yeah, she was also doing like the hardest drug and like partially in a suicidal way.
Yeah, his was very like old classic, you know?
Yeah,
and again, it's like, it reminds me a little of Barney Rubble. No, Barney Rubble. That's the Flintstones. Barney from The Simpsons, because he got sober for a while and he's sober for several seasons and they eventually reverted him back to being a drunk.
I mean, I don't care if she doesn't stay sober, which she clearly hasn't for 2 episodes in a row now, but I want her to have something else to do besides be sober.
On that note, what are they doing? Their story is still lost to me. I kind of
they're still trying to get all the marks off the hedge witches.
Okay,
but,
I thought they were looking for some kind of depository.
Well, it's because they're looking for the book that will tell them how, because it was like removed or disappeared or something. But that's the thing for me is like I feel like they're really milking this storyline in a way that like in season 3 it would have been dealt with in a single episode.
Or I mean 3 tops, because it's like this is a very MacGuffin-y show, but this is a particularly MacGuffin-y season. And it's like there was a lot of take on good faith. And we're getting to a point where I feel like we're sort of blowing through magical MacGuffins in a way. And the comparison I make is, as with many things, Teen Wolf, because it's like for the first season of Teen Wolf, we spend 12 episodes learning the trials and tribulations of how to be a werewolf. So by the 4th and 5th season, when people are turned into a werewolf, that it's dealt with in 1 episode,
right? Because
the information becomes redundant. And so I think it's a very delicate tightrope act to walk, earning our interest and faith and trust in things.
Yeah.
And also like beating us over the head with something that we don't need or care about. And so it's like, because again, with the Julia thing, it's like, I never fully understood why we landed on her being human over being a goddess, because I thought the goddess was infinitely more interesting. Granted, it is a get out of jail free card, but part of me was like excited to meet Clarion, the goddess of harmony. And another part of me was just kind of like, well, it's not going to matter. The only god. Well, we've liked a couple of the gods, but she was also written to be mildly annoying. So
yeah, I think my favorite part about her is that for some reason, which is hysterical to me, every single god and goddess has heard of Julia and like loves her. It's like really an interesting notion, and I enjoy it quite a lot. But then there always is like a moment where it like turns on a dime and they're like mad at her, like they've never been mad at anybody before in their lives. And I'm just like, can we get a little bit more of the middle ground in some of these characters? But I did really like Clarion. I thought she was fun.
I also like that they're referring to whatever this event is as a harmonic convergence. I think that sounds, it just, I'm on board with that. I'm like, ooh, sounds like glamorous.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah, like
sounds like a fancy apocalypse.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's what we're building to. It's like there's going to be too much magic. Like like I feel like it would be pretty. As everyone was like very color out of space.
Yeah.
I didn't see that movie, but I still referenced it correctly.
It's hellish. It's hellish. I don't think they'll go that far.
No.
We'll see.
And then the Penny thing is also weird because it's like I thought that girl was bad. I kind of figured she was doing it to him on purpose, but now it's that she's a Chatwin.
Yeah. So her name is Plum. Right. I vaguely remember that name from the books, but I don't remember anything about her. So I couldn't tell you where it goes.
I thought the Plum was weird because of the Peaches and Plums with Quentin and Elliot.
Well, no. Oh, maybe.
I mean, I don't necessarily think they're related, but I was like, that's a dog whistle word for us. You know what I mean?
It could be. That honestly didn't occur to me because I remembered it kind of from the books, but I mean, I would be fine if they changed that up, I guess.
Well, they brought the book back, which the book was fascinating, and it's very, very, very convoluted. But if you can remember, it was fun to watch. He speaks in third person. It's like a man. The binder, sorry, is the book. And so he was trying to help Clarion turn mortal, but then Penny was going crazy from whatever that signal was, and so she ended up using the magic to make him human again. So it like, and the fact that it mirrored his decision that he made for her is like cool, but also I'm like, well, now we're down 2 magic people.
Yeah. Also, it stakes that their relationship hasn't really gotten to yet, in my opinion. And also because like, I realized last night watching the episode that I was like, I guess I don't care about Penny 23 as much as I cared about Penny 40.
Well, it's like good. They're just trusting us to care because in another timeline we would have, I guess.
Well, and because it still is extremely charming Arjun Gupta, I understand. But like at the same time, and I think it is a testament to him as an actor because I feel differently about him and he is different to me. He acts differently than Penny 40 did. And I get it. And it's very cool. But at the same time, I'm like, there's something about you that's missing for me. And it makes everything land a little less.
He's nicer. You would think you would like the nicer one, but it's almost like it's more of a blandness. Yeah. It's like less character. I'm not sure. I want to know.
I want him to like be calling people assholes, you know?
That's a little bit more what I was getting on, where I was like, I don't want Katie or Dean Fogg to be in toxic situations, but I liked Dean Fogg's like drunkenness. It's like I liked
I liked their characters when they
character
were
possibilities. Yes.
Yeah, when they were giving into their vices. And now that they're not, I mean, as a narrative tool, it makes it kind of boring. In real life, we want everybody to, you know, be as sober as they can be. But yeah.
So then what was actually accomplished with that plot with Julia?
So that's the thing that annoyed me the most, is because Dean Fogg stayed in that like constantly high place. Because
I can't imagine for good.
Well, I fucking hope not. But Katie had to go back to like save everybody. Although now that she's got another taste for the sauce, I feel like it's going to be an uphill battle.
It can't be pot. Like, we can handle that.
Yeah. It's got to be heroin and acid, magical acid. That magical acid did look hella cool, though.
I liked the psychedelic world. We've commented many times what the show, this very moderately budgeted show, is capable of pulling off in a way that doesn't feel like we're being cheated out of.
No, not at all.
And then that does bring us to, well, actually, I said, what was accomplished with Julia? That's still...
yeah, nothing.
Nothing, okay.
They have to find another way because she used Clarion's power for Penny.
Right, okay.
So now they're just two lame humans having a boring relationship.
You're not in on this.
I have been
It peaked at the consent in the tent.
It did. I've been mild on it the whole time, but like, I don't know. I need them to prove it to me that it's a good idea. And it hasn't been proven to me yet.
So that does bring us to Margot and Elliot and Fillory. And for a hot minute, I was like, I missed something somewhere. But I was like, no, this is one of those times that the show just rocketed forward and trusted you to understand.
They're just like, you got it.
Yeah.
You're there. And I'm like, I don't got it 100%.
I did. I was there. Right. Because Margot was already the Centurion. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. She got it last week.
So she's the Centurion, and Elliot made his way to the castle. I guess the Dark King gave them the ride.
Yeah.
And so they're still interested in each other and also still have not slept together. So I'm still convinced that he is related to them. He is.
Oh, okay.
He is Elliot and Quentin's son or grandson or something.
Well, in which case he's actually only related to Quentin.
Sure, but he's still raised.
He did raise an ancestor.
Well, then that can't be because he would recognize Elliot. But I don't know.
No,
that was just
because it's been 300 years.
I guess if he's that old, that's just a madcap theory I threw out there.
Yeah,
there's something else happening with the Dark King. I mean, I assumed from minute one, if everybody's talking about the Dark King, I'm like, okay, well, there has to be one, if not two layers here.
Yeah,
and he is very charming and. Though, he really has a very authoritarian feel up to and included state-run TV.
Yeah.
Which that's another thing where that was happening and I was like, did I miss something again? And I was like, no, okay. There does appear to be an element of sincerity to him and then again also an element of deception. So I'm unsure what balance of the two we're dealing with.
Yeah. It is though a classic villain that we love.
Yeah. And again, Sean Maguire. So
he's so charming.
And Margot fucking, oh God, a lot is said about how good Margot is. And she is. And I think because of the character's kind of like steadfast determination, it can come off to some people as kind of one note. But the fact that she was able to hold it together at the end of that episode, because, lesser characters would have just completely buckled. And it's like to have characters that actually learn is nice.
It's great.
And so and unbeknownst to her and us, they were seeking out a fairy refugee is the word I'm choosing.
Yeah.
And she was hiding under the floorboards. I'm getting nervous.
Very like Shoshana Dreyfus.
Yeah. And so Margot accidentally exposed her and went through the ruse of arresting her, but was trying to communicate via
fairy eyeball. Yeah.
That she was going to try to help her. I'm so sorry that we lost Candace Kane. I wish she was out there.
Me too. I miss her a lot.
This show goes through very interesting side characters. Like it plows through them.
Like, there's still a handful out there, like Marina's somewhere, Poppy's somewhere, but like
a version of Marina.
Yeah, but the Fairy Queen, that was very.
Well, remember
that was a big loss.
Henry or what's his name, Gorman, the politician.
Oh yeah, and Christopher
Gorham, and Shoshana and Our Lady Underground, and it's just there's just so many that it's just like pulling weeds, but
yeah.
We're still on board. We're still there. I am at the place now where I'm like, okay, so what is the future of this show? Because, if it does end, I would hope that they are not going to cancel it. Like, I would hope that this show would get going into it be advertised as a final season. So I guess maybe I'm hoping for one more.
I kind of want 7. 7 feels right.
That's a lot. We're already at 5 was from here on out, we're happy. At least I am.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%. But I agree. I hope they don't cancel it. I hope that they're like a 6th and final season, or it gets renewed for 2 and they're like, and that's it.
I feel like if they end it now, everybody will claim victory that it was Quentin. And it's like, wow, I'm sure that was a factor. Because I can't with these fans. I mean, they're still doing the petitions, and I'm just like, grow up. Like,
it's just a TV show. Although I
understand. I understand the point where they're coming from, but it's just like.
And I also will never forgive anybody for pushing daisies. So I'll take that to my grave. So I understand.
Because now, I mean, I'm at a place where so much has been made, so much character development has come from his death that it would feel so cheap if he was like, I'm back.
Yeah, exactly. He can't rejoin the cast. I want him in the series finale, and that's it.
So I hope we're going somewhere, and if we're not, then we had a good run, and hopefully it'll be amusing on its way out. So
yeah, definitely.